Good morning. The February 4th, 2025 meeting of the Board of Estimates is now called to order. The board continues to meet in a hybrid format. For those here in person, please take a moment to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. For those attending virtually, if you desire an opportunity to speak, we ask that you please keep yourself on mute until the chair recognizes you. When you are called upon, please announce your name and organization and speak loudly and clearly as you present. At this time, I would ask our clerk for any corrections, additions, and noted abstentions for today's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, everyone. We have one correction to note this morning for SB 2514521. This is the Department of Real Estate lease agreement for 1800 South Clinton Street, the Clinton Street Marina LLC. This item needs the Exhibit D deleted and replaced with a new Exhibit D, Standard Operating Procedures Manual dated February 3rd, 2026. And Mr. President, I will refer to the presenters of that item today to walk through the changes in that new exhibit. We have one walk-on this morning, that is SB 2610332 for procurement, a notice of termination for contract B 50004898, Heart to Heart Medical Services Incorporated doing business as Heart to Heart Transportation. We have the following deferrals to note this morning, SB 2514465. This is for procurement. It's an award sole source for Clear software application, $1,456,584. This has been requested to be deferred to March 4th, 2026 at the request of the administration. This is a second deferral and it will be approved by the board as part of the vote on the opening statement this morning. We also have deferrals SB 2514793, Department of Public Works, final release of retainage for Monumental Paving and Excavating Incorporated for $143,850. This item is being deferred until February 18th, 2026 at the request of the comptroller. SB 2514772, Unifier, Transportation Construction Capital. This is an on-call service contract being deferred until March 4th, 2026 at the request of the Council President. SB 2610137, Unifier Transportation Professional Services, on-call service contract for $488,408.85. This item is being deferred until March 4th, 2026 at the request of the Council President. SB 2610181, Department of Transportation, that's SB 2610181, Unifier for the Department of Transportation. This is a first amendment to an agreement with Johnson Merriman Thompson Incorporated for $0. This item is being deferred until March 4th, 2026 at the request of the Council President. SB 2514739, this is a second amendment increasing SCON 004603 for the Department of Transportation, permitting and licensing subscription and deployment agreement for $191,525.23. This item is being deferred until March 4th, 2026 at the request of the Council President. And SB 2514174 for the Police Department, a first renewal to subscription agreement for Leads Online LLC, $401,490.00, being deferred until March 4th, 2026 at the request of the Council President. We have two withdrawals to note this morning. SB 2610066, Department of Human Resources for the Police Department, a position reclassification that was withdrawn at the request of the agency. And SB 2514235 for the Health Department, a subrecipient grant agreement with the Winters Group Incorporated for $49,481.25. This has been withdrawn at the request of the city administrator. We have one protest to note this morning for item SB 2514521, Department of Real Estate lease agreement for 1800 South Clinton Street, the Clinton Street Marina LLC. A statement of opposition has been received from the Beacon Condominium Board of Directors. 2 statements of opposition have been received from Maureen's of Canton, and 1 statement of opposition has been received from North Shore Condominiums. The following items will appear on the non-routine agenda this morning. SB 2514658 for procurement, a multi-award for RFQ 000768, snow removal services for $10 million. SB 2514521 for the Department of Real Estate, lease agreement for 1800 South Clinton Street Marina LLC for $17,868,799.20, and SB 2610332 for the Bureau of Procurement contract termination heart-to-heart non-emergency medical transportation services. We have the following abstentions to note this morning. I believe the Honorable Mayor Brandon M. Scott has no abstentions to note this morning. The Honorable President Zeke Cohen has 1 abstention. SB 2610126, City Council Governmental Charitable Gift Solicitation Waiver Application. The Honorable Comptroller Bill Henry is abstaining on all travel requests and travel reimbursements. City Solicitor Ebony Thompson has no abstentions to note, and Director of Public Works Matthew Garbark has no abstentions to note. And we also are not registering any no votes as part of the approval of the routine agenda. And that concludes our opening statement for this morning, Mr. President. Thank you.
At this time, I ask for a motion to approve and adopt the opening statement as read by the clerk.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. A note for this board and the public that this vote includes the vote required by the board's rules for multiple deferrals for SB 25-14465, procurement award sole source clear software application, which is receiving its second deferral today. I'm going to ask for a revote. I just want to state that before we voted. Do I have a motion to approve the opening statement?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the opening statement, please say aye.
Aye.
The opening statement has been adopted. I now direct the board members' attention to the memorandum from my office dated February 4th, 2026, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items together with any corrections, additions, abstentions, and no votes that have been noted by the clerk. I will entertain a motion to approve all the items on the routine agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving all these items, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The routine agenda has been adopted. Seeing no further questions, we'll now move on to the non-routine agenda. The first item on the non-routine agenda is a request to approve a goods and services contract award for snow removal services under SB 2514658. This agreement is with LG Construction, Inc. and AB Trucking and Contracting, LLC for $10 million. On behalf of the Office of Procurement, we have Director Adam Manny. Director Manny, the floor is yours. Mr. Mayor, start with you.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Director. But before we get that, just because of the nature of the contract, I first want to say thank you to every single contractor, every single DPW, DOT, DGS, Rec and Parks, Health Department, the entirety of city government that helped with the snow. We're going to particularly talk about snow removal today, but I want to say thank you to everyone. I want to say thank you to you, Mr. President, for spending some time, not just in the EOC, but out on the streets, and all of your council members as well. This was the first time in 10 years that we had significant snow. It's the first time in a long time that we had significant ice. And we want to say, as someone who was here for the 2010 back-to-back blizzards and the blizzard in 2016, we know how frustrations can raise high and quick in Baltimore when it comes to snow. But I want to say that the team, they worked very hard and got to places quickly in some deep neighborhoods and side streets quicker than I've ever seen them, with bobcats and all the equipment necessary. I want to thank the residents for their patience. We know how interesting it can get. I want to thank the many people that showed up for Snow Corps, helping to shovel out their neighbors' and been volunteering to do that all over the city. I want to thank the city administrator and the team at DPW and DOT for doing things, quite frankly, that the city has never done before. I've been in Baltimore 41 years. The comptroller has been here a lot longer than that. And the city has never plowed alleys before this snowstorm. It's the first time that has ever happened. We know that it isn't technically the city's responsibility, but when you're dealing with this weather in particular, which made this storm unique, was not just the amount of snow, it was ice. You literally had to pick it up and remove it. And I want to thank everybody for all their hard work. There will be, as always, changes and after actions and things that we can and will do better. The city administration and I will be leading that effort.
Apparently, we have no sound coming out from Charm 25.
I'm glad I did all that, and now
But the people in the room
have to do it all over again.
We're trying to figure it out. It's working on Charm TV, but it's not working on WebEx right now.
It's not working on WebEx? Okay. Uh-oh. Now we're going to move into the Comptroller Bill Henry dad jokes section of the BOE.
I
Celeste is like, no!
I have no control over that.
I mean, I have a
Natalie
list-
might file a complaint if they don't get
I have a
their-
list I can refer to. Right?
No snow jokes. No snow jokes.
Snow dad jokes?
No. Mr. President, please, no. Now I got to do that all over again.
Can we talk about happy memories?
Happy memories from Blizzard? There's no such thing.
There's happy memories. Yesterday, for those of you who observed, was the 13th anniversary of the last time the Ravens won the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay.
Now, how's that a happy memory? It's been 13 years.
Wow, it's been that long.
If you think about the day, it was a
back up.
happy memory.
Are we back? Are we good? On WebEx yet?
Yeah, as long as we're on Charm TV. Okay.
All right. I guess we got to start all over again, right, Mr. President?
Was Charm TV always up?
Charm TV's been up.
Yeah, Charm TV has been up. We've been in compliance.
So
we don't necessarily have to repeat.
People are planning to testify.
Testify on WebEx, so we still got to wait.
So at least a couple of the
I
statements
see.
of opposition are planning to be on WebEx, so we do need to get WebEx.
Yeah, we gotta wait.
Yeah, Mr. President. Mr. President, you want to adjourn us until we fix it?
So
Yeah, we're going to do a brief adjournment until the tech gets fixed. We will recess. Please don't go anywhere because we will be back up hopefully very soon. We are now in recess. Board of Estimates meeting, take two.
Capcom is
Good morning again. The February 4th, 2025 meeting of the Board of Estimates is now called to order. For those that have been paying attention, we unfortunately are going to have to start the meeting over. There was a glitch with the WebEx. It seems like we are now good to go. Thank you to the mayor for his technical degree from Mervo, who was able to solve it. Good stuff. The board continues to meet in a hybrid format. For those here in person, please take a moment to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. For those attending virtually, if you desire an opportunity to speak, we ask that you please keep yourself on mute until the chair recognizes you. When you are called upon, please announce your name and organization and speak loudly and clearly as you present. At this time, I would ask our clerk for any corrections, additions, and noted abstentions for today's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, everyone. And that was some really good speed reading. I'm going to try to follow suit. Up first, we do have a correction this morning, SB 2514521. This is for the Department of Real Estate lease agreement, 1800 South Clinton Street Marina, LLC. We are deleting the currently posted Exhibit D and replacing it with Exhibit D Standard Operating Procedures Manual dated February 3rd, 2026. And I will defer to the presenters today to walk us through those changes, Mr. President. We have the following walk-on this morning, SB 2510332, Procurement Notice of Termination for Contract B504898 Heart to Heart Medical Services, Inc., doing business as Heart to Heart Transportation for $0. We have the following deferrals to note this morning: SB 2514465 for procurement, award sole source for Clear software application for $1,456,584. This item is being deferred until March 4th, 2026 at the request of the administration. This is a second request for deferral, so it is being voted upon as part of the board's opening statement this morning for approval. SB 2514793, Department of Public Works, final release of retainage, Monumental Paving and Excavating Incorporated for $143,850. This item is being deferred until February 18th, 2026 at the request of the comptroller. Item SB 2514772, Unifier Transportation, Construction Capital On-Call Service Contract. This item is being deferred until March 4th, 2026, at the request of the Council President. SB 2610137, Unifier for the Department of Transportation. This is an on-call service contract for $488,408.85. This item is being deferred until March 4th, 2026, at the request of the Council President. SB 2610181, Department of Transportation, Unifier Agreement. This is Amendment 1 to an agreement with Johnson, Merriman, Thompson, Incorporated for $0. This item is being deferred until March 4th, 2026, at the request of the Council President. SB 2514739, a second amendment increasing SCON 004603, Department of Transportation, permitting and licensing subscription and deployment agreement for $191,525.23. This item is being deferred until March 4th, 2026, at the request of the Council President. And SB 2514174 for the Police Department, first renewal to subscription agreement for Leads Online LLC for $401,490.00. This item is being deferred until March 4th, 2026 at the request of the Council President. We have two withdrawals to note this morning: SB 2610066, DHR Police Department position reclassification for a filled position. This item is being withdrawn at the request of the agency. And SB 2514235 for the Health Department subrecipient grant agreement with the Winters Group Incorporated for $49,481.25. This item is being withdrawn at the request of the city administrator. We have a protest for item SB 2514521, Department of Real Estate lease agreement, 1800 South Clinton Street Marina LLC. A statement of opposition has been received from the Beacon Condominium Board of Directors. Two statements of opposition have been received from the Moorings of Canton, and one statement of opposition has been received from North Shore Condominiums. The following items will be heard as part of the non-routine agenda this morning: SB 2514658, Procurement Multi-Award RFQ 000768, Snow Removal Services for $10 million. SB 2514521 for the Department of Real Estate Lease Agreement, 1800 South Clinton Street Marina LLC for $17,868,799.20. And SB 2610332, Bureau of Procurement Contract Termination Heart to Heart Non-Emergency Medical Transportation Services for $0. The Honorable Mayor Brandon M. Scott has no abstentions to note this morning. The Honorable President Zeke Cohen is abstaining on SB 2610126, City Council Governmental Charitable Gift Solicitation Waiver Application. The Honorable Comptroller Bill Henry is abstaining on all travel requests and travel reimbursements. City Solicitor Ebony Thompson has no abstentions to note this morning, and the Director of Public Works Matthew Garbark has no abstentions to note this morning. We also do not have any no votes to note as part of the routine agenda approval this morning, and that concludes our opening statement. Again, Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, I would ask our, no, I already did that, and I did it twice. Just kidding. All right. At this time, I ask for a motion to approve and adopt the opening statement as read by the clerk. A note for this board and the public that this vote includes the vote required by the board's rules for multiple deferrals for SB 2514465, Procurement Award Sole Source Clear Software Application, which is receiving its second deferral today. Actually, it'll be technically its third deferral today. Do I have a motion to approve the opening statement?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The opening statement has been adopted. And now direct board members' attention to the memorandum from my office dated February 4th, 2026, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items together with any corrections, additions, abstentions, and no votes that have been noted by the clerk. I'll entertain a motion to approve all the items contained on the routine agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of approving the items on the routine agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The routine agenda items have been adopted. Seeing no further questions, we will now move on to non-routine agenda items. Mr. Mayor, would you like to give your speech again?
We got to call it item first.
Sure. The first item on the non-routine agenda is a request to approve a goods and services contract award for snow removal services under SB 2514658. This agreement is with LG Construction, Inc. and AB Trucking and Contracting, LLC, for $10 million. Before we get to Director Manny, Mr. Mayor, the floor is yours.
And thank you again, Mr. President, and thank you, Director. But before the Director speaks, as I said the first time, I want to thank everybody involved with the snow removal. This was the first time in 10 years that Baltimore had significant snow, and unfortunately, we also at the same time had significant ice and freezing temperatures. But I want to thank all of the team, the snow team from DOT, DPW, Rec and Parks, every employee, the entirety of city government, as you know, Mr. President, as you were in the EOC, from the health department, every single agency, DGS, who were out there working tirelessly around the clock and continue to do so to get us through this snow and ice. I want to thank the residents for their patience because when you're dealing with not just the high amount of snow, but the ice and the freezing temperatures, it creates different problems for us. I want to say, as someone who was here in 2010, the first time we had to get a snow melter and had to sit and watch it on the corner of Hamilton and Bel Air for a few hours as a staffer, as duties as assigned back then, and then again in 2016 as a councilman. I want to say to the team, while we still have significant areas for improvement, and we will do that, I want to let them know that they did a good job, that they were out in neighborhoods, inside streets, in a faster sense with this amount of snow than I've ever seen before. I want to particularly thank the city administrator and the team at DPW and Deputy Mayor Zaid for putting something together that we've never done, and that's plowing alleyways. I want to thank all of the volunteers who signed up for the Snow Corps, every contractor that was out there busting their work and doing this in the way that it had to be done. This was not a storm where we could just do what we normally do, push the snow and move on. You had to push, remove, travel it, then melt it. And we know that that comes with a lot of patience. We know that snow in Baltimore equals high emotions. So I want to thank everybody involved and just know that we will continue to get better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Director Manny?
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, Mr. Comptroller, honorable board members, Adam Manny, your Chief Procurement Officer. To start, I would like to say that this contract that I'm asking you to award, these two, have nothing to do. They are separate from the current snow event. This is a formal solicitation asked for by the Department of Transportation through the Bureau of Procurement for these services. A little history is the solicitation originally was started in October of last year with an original due date of 11/19. Due to questions from the potential vendors and our business partners, we did an addendum extending that contract through the due date through to December 3rd. We did receive 11 bids. Once those bids were in, we then took those bids and had them reviewed by the agencies, SMB&D, DOT, BOP, to go through for us to make sure that we are getting the right things. It took a little while to go through the process. At the end of the process, there were two of our vendors, the two we're asking for award, were compliant with everything. The other 9 were found to be non-compliant on the SMB&D side, the small minority business development side. We then moved through to put this through in January. It again went through the proper steps, and we're here today to make the award. The amount, the $10 million, I want to point out, this contract is for 3 years for both companies for a 1-year extension if the city chooses to do it. That's not the spend. It is the potential spend that this board is giving us approval for. The actual spend will be based upon the events when we need them.
Hopefully we won't.
Thank you, Director Manny. a brief conversation with the city administrator yesterday. When can we expect the emergency procurement from this weather event cleanup? I know these contracts are not for that, but when will we expect to see the
I
full
would
total?
expect, sir, that each independent department will be bringing them forward to the board for their own emergency contracts, most likely in March. We're still in the middle of the event. It's still going through. As we were approving the emergency contracts and the emergencies, BOP did remind each of the departments that it is their responsibility to bring their emergency contracts back before this board so that the board can be informed of it.
Got it. Are the contractors in this award self-performing the minority slash women-owned
Yes,
business
sir.
goals?
On both counts, for both minority and the women-owned.
Great. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And I'm actually glad you brought that up. I actually had the opportunity to interact with one of the companies, A&B Trucking, during this recent snowstorm. They are a black-owned company, and quite frankly, they did a good job in the areas that they in. They also interacted with our police commissioner in Bel Air Edison as he was down there looking and searching and making sure that folks were doing what they need to do. And he, who you know can be a very tough cookie, actually called me and said, "Hey man, the A&B Trucking guys, they did a good job." So I was pleased to see that, and pleased to see that it's a locally owned, a Baltimore-based black business as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Comptroller?
Just a technical note, both LG Construction Incorporated and AB Trucking and Contracting LLC have emergency contracts through 4/30/2026. So should this award have a new start date?
No, sir. Once this contract is approved and it goes through the process, it takes us about a week. We will then terminate those emergency contracts, pay off those, and then this
okay.
contract will become effective.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Other questions from the board? Seeing and hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve this item.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving this item say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The item is approved. The next item on the non-routine agenda is a request to approve a commercial lease agreement for a helipad at 1800 South Clinton Street under SB 2514521. This agreement is with Street Mariana LLC, landlord, and for the use of the Baltimore City Police Department for $17,868,799.20 for a period of 20 years. On behalf of the police department, we have Colonel Ryan Lee and Deputy Chief of Staff Andy Smullian. Do you want to lead off?
Well, sure.
Floor is yours, sir. Please.
Good morning. Yeah, Eric Evans, Department of Real Estate. Good morning, Mr. Comptroller, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of the board. Here to, as stated by the President, present a commercial lease agreement for 1800 Clinton Street, which is for the aviation unit for the Department of, for the Police Department. I will defer to Chief of Staff Simoleon for the details of the technical details, but I'm happy to answer any questions regarding the lease agreement.
Great.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Comptroller, honorable members of the board. Andy Smullian, I'm the Deputy Chief of Staff to the Baltimore Police Department, and we are here. I have a brief presentation. Ms. Ashburn, my colleague, I think can put it up on WebEx for the folks at home. I think she says she's waiting for permission. Great, perfect. All right, well, I'm going to give a very brief presentation, just give you a little bit of background and why we think that this lease is a good item, a good thing for the police department, and we ask for your approval. First slide, discussions about the heliport have been going on since 2019, since I first started in the police department. We've been approached about going to the helipad. We certainly saw the advantages at the time of relocating from Martin State to the helipad, but there were a couple of obstacles in there. But we were asked a lot of questions by city officials, by elected officials, about why are we going all the way out to the county just to come right back here to the city? Why are we spending our money in the county as opposed to the city? And so, my job was to look into it, see, if this is viable. And again, we saw the advantages of it, but there were a couple of sort of kind of barriers that we couldn't really do it at the time. One was operational. Our helicopters were not conducive to landing at that site at the time safely. And two, we had a lease with Martin State that ran through 2025. So, the recommendation at the time was that we shouldn't move or relocate to the helipad. But, these conversations happened, periodically throughout the years. And then flash forward, next slide, please, Kara, is that in 2023, BPD upgrades its fleet of helicopters. And these helicopters are now conducive to landing at that site. So we made the decision that we were going to start refueling at the helipad. And that was advantageous for a few reasons. Number one was proximity. Obviously, the heliport in Canton is closer than going all the way back to Martin State to refuel. To efficiency, the heliport allows the ability to what's known as hot refuel, means you don't have to turn off the helicopter to go and refuel. It allows you just to kind of get back up into the air as quickly as possible, and it's less wear and tear on the helicopter. And three was the availability. Martin State stops refueling early in the evening, I believe around 6. The heliport allows us to do this as someone in the early morning hours up until about 2 a.m. And in fact, one of the first times that we actually went and refueled there was, I believe, during there was a mass shooting at Morgan State. And Foxtrot was assisting officers on the ground, and went to the heliport to go and refuel, to get back up in the air as quickly as possible, as opposed to going back to Martin State. And they really saw the advantages of all of this. It helped them operationally, and so we began refueling there more and more and more, to the point where this was where we primarily refueled. Next slide, please. Then flash forward to about late 2024, early 2025. This is sort of in the wake of the post-Key Bridge disaster. The landlord puts forward a proposal, again for relocation, and his vision, which is one that I think that the commissioner agreed with, was that not only would this be a new home for aviation unit, but also the Marine unit, and this would be a joint sort of maritime public safety center where you could have co-location. I want to point out to the board that what was formerly known as the Marine unit, what our police boat operations are not part of this lease. That's something we'll be coming back to you with in the coming weeks and months. We're still working on that, but we wanted to get this thing moving so we could kind of begin construction. But we very much appreciate this concept. We believe that this would allow us to coordinate if there was ever, God forbid, another issue along our water. Allow us to have a joint command center that would allow us to respond as efficiently and quickly as possible. Next slide, please. All right, so what are the advantages of moving the heliport here? I sort of already mentioned, I touched upon the proximity, but I want to illustrate it to you a little bit more. If you can check, you can see the diagram on the left is measures the distance. This is distance in miles, but that translates both into miles and minutes, so it's distance and time. The left is Martin State, the right is the heliport. So as you can see, if Foxtrot were to go to that southern point in the city, I believe that's Hawkins Point, it would take between 11 and 12 minutes just to get down there. Whereas if they were to go there from the heliport, it'd take about 5 or 6 minutes. If they were to go to that southwest corner there, it would take 16 minutes to get there from Martin State. It would take about 7 or 8 minutes from the heliport. If you go to that northwest corner, it would take about 16 minutes. It would take 10 minutes from the heliport. If you go to City Center, it would take 10 or 11 minutes. It would take about 2 or 3 from the heliport. And then, from the, what I also want you to notice there is going from Martin State just to the eastern border of the city. This is important. It takes about 6 or 7 minutes to go from Martin State just to the eastern border of our city. Now, you might be sitting here saying, well, okay, big deal, 6 or 7 minutes. But I want you to keep in mind that this is 6 or 7 minutes each way, there and back. And this happens multiple times a day, upwards of 8 times a day. So if you do 6 or 7 minutes each way, multiple times a day, upwards of 8 times a day, you're talking about 2 hours a day that we're just flying over the county, just going to and back from our house. That's fuel burn, that is wear and tear that is on the helicopters, that is it's just sort of wasted time. Next slide, please. So again, the advantages are we can get quicker response times to where we need to go. We can deliver more equitable service all across the city. And this basically results in either fuel savings and more times in between repairs or more flight time over the city. And we're going to decide that which one is more important to us as we go. It might be a combination of the two, but that's how we're going to, it's going to help us really have more flexibility and optionality. It also allows for greater oversight and support of the unit. It takes about 40 minutes to go and drive out to Martin State. Ken is obviously a lot closer that we can get to, and we can deal with issues as we need to. It allows for an updated facility. Where we are in Martin State, we've been there for a couple decades. I don't know exactly how old it was, how much older it was prior to that, but it requires maintenance. We've already put in a lot of money in maintenance. In this contract, we sort of share maintenance responsibilities, and it's going to be a newly built facility. So hopefully we won't need much maintenance in the near future. And also, lastly, it allows for more efficient models for deploying Foxtrot, studying perhaps alternative deployment models, and perhaps future technologies like drones. If we ever decide, I'm not saying that we are going to do this, we have no future plans, but if we ever decide to go to different models like an on-call response or whatever, this situates us better to go do that. That is the end of the presentation. I did neglected to mention, I'm also here with Colonel Ryan Lee, who's our Chief of Patrol. He can help answer any technical questions that you may have. And I would also like to point out, as was mentioned at the top of the agenda, that there was an amendment to the standard operating procedure. This was primarily in response to our meeting with the Canton Community Association last week, and to tighten up some issues that they had over the standards regarding flight patterns and height over altitude over the condominiums. So we did change that in response to it, and while we were doing it, that was also sort of in relation to a particular operator, and so we did change up a couple of our own standard operating procedures as it relates to co-tenancy and secondary flow of traffic. So with that,
Andy, walk me through those changes that you made. I've spoken extensively to the council member who represents the district, and on behalf of the community, I just want to hear step by step which standard operating procedures you all changed based on that feedback.
So I don't have it in front of me, but the one it changed that the community wanted to make is that there was there was an operator that I think was part of the issue that the community has, and in the standard operating procedure, it cannot mandate where the helicopters fly, but it basically sits there and says that I guess we are encouraged effectively to not fly over the waterfront condominiums and at a particular altitude. That was not written. I think even the landlord had agreed in perhaps the best manner. So what we did is we tightened it up to make sure that all best efforts are to be used to basically sort of avoid that area and be at a particular altitude.
So what's the recourse if they don't? I mean, I understand there may be emergency situation
there's-
where you got to get us quickly from point A to point B, but wanting to be responsive to those concerns, how does this change in the SOP?
It just makes it clear that that's sort of the expectation, but there is no mandate. I don't think that they can really mandate, that's sort of left to, I believe, the FAA. There's really no mandate about where they can fly and where they can't, at least in that area. And so all it is it's guidance. It's guidance that we're going to follow. It's guidance that I believe that the other operators there need to follow. And if it's consistently broken, like if it's just ignored, then I think that the landlord has recourses with his tenants. We're not going to do it. And Colonel Lee can talk a little bit more about this. And we explain this to the community. Unless conditions prevented us from going and landing another way, we're not going to do it, or unless there's like a car chase along Boston Street or something like that, where we've got to go and that's where we've got to fly, then that's just what we're going to do. But all efforts are going to be made to sort of avoid that pathway.
Yeah. So before getting to just specific questions from the board, I just want to sort of generally, I think what you lifted up, what the mayor has commented on, and I think what other board members have as well in terms of operational efficiencies and why are we supporting sending our planes back and forth to Baltimore County, keeping our dollar in the city, having the flight path be more efficient. I think it's all really important. I'm curious generally, though, as technology continues to shift, as we move into a world where drones become more a part of operations within police departments, are we looking at a future where the helipad, where the planes that we're using become obsolete because technology enables us to do the things that they are doing without needing what is still going to be, let's be real, a very significant expense to the taxpayers of Baltimore?
Colonel Ryan Lee, I'm the Chief of Patrol for the City of Baltimore's Police Department. To answer your question, Council President, with the rate drone technology is growing, it is not anywhere in the foreseeable future in this 20-year lease that it will supplant the capabilities of a helicopter. The only major police agency, frankly, in the Western world that is using drones is the London Metropolitan Police Department right now. They're piloting a program, and they're having to be very frank to use military-grade drones, which I don't think is something that here in America we want police departments doing. The advantages of a helicopter can be highlighted in the recent water rescue that we had, the ability to actually put people on the ground, which is not a capability that a drone has. And even if we look at drones as first responders, smaller, lighter drones, line of sight requirements from the FAA would prohibit us from centralizing aviation and coordinating aviation assets like a tiered level of response from Martin State. We'd have to be someplace central in the city. This facility allows us to entertain and explore those as options as technology continues to improve and expectations continue to improve in a way that Martin State strictly can never do.
So your expectation is that within the next 20 years, during the period for which this lease covers, we will not be in a position to supplant the current fleet and shift the way we do aerial surveillance?
In my conversations with other aviation units and aviation experts in both public safety, whether that's police, pardon me, police or fire operations, the roles and the capabilities of helicopters are not expected to change within the life of this lease. We're not seeing drone capability at that level. DARPA is experimenting with things for the federal government. Those are not things that would land safely and without significant considerations in the future that we see.
I appreciate that. Before getting into, I have a bunch of specific questions, but I want to open it up to the board.
Keep going. We'll ask them when you finish.
Okay. City Administrator, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. I had the same question for the team when this was brought before me, because a part of our 10-year plan, we do contemplate using different types of technology, including drone technology, over the next 10 years to help many of our operations, including public safety, be a lot more efficient. And so I spent some time with Colonel Lee learning a bit more about drone operations and public safety. And so I do absolutely think that there are going to be opportunities for us to leverage drone technology. But like Colonel Lee said, when it comes to specific types of incidents, right, they talked about the water rescue. I think about the Key Bridge collapse, right? We want to be equipped with the proper tools within city government to be able to respond no matter the type of disaster that we might be facing. And so while drone technology could be useful in certain aspects of policing, if we are ever faced with major incidents across this city, we want to be equipped with a helicopter. And so I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that the administration did question that as well, and our 10-year plan does contemplate moving to drone technology, not just in BPD, but in housing and fire. And so we absolutely are taking that on to look at how we can use drones to be more efficient. But BPD and our public safety experts have said, yes, they have an amazing drone. It's an all-women's drone team. I met them during Key Bridge. It's an all-women's drone team, and they were doing some really incredible work. So we have a drone team within the police department, but we don't believe that is going to be able to take over our entire helicopter operation. So I just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you, Madam City Administrator. Colonel or Mr. Chief, or Deputy Chief, can you give the board some numbers on how many flights in the last 2 years has the plane taken, and the helicopter has taken, and do you have any, based on those numbers, prediction on if we are cutting the time in half, if we're less miles, how much savings it would yield?
Well, Mr. President, I don't have the numbers for passengers flying in front of me. I don't want to misquote or misrepresent the numbers. But what I can say is that when we're optimally staffed for our aviation unit, when we're flying, we're launching 2-hour flights at a time. We're doing that about 8 times a day during our standard operating window. So you can, do the math and project that out. The flight time savings alone, whether you look at it as flight time, fuel, however you look at it, from operating from Martin State versus operating from this heliport equates to basically 1 operational sortie a day being saved. That's either time that we could put up over the city or otherwise. If you wouldn't mind elaborating on sort of the other parts of your question again, sir, to refresh my memory.
Yeah, and I think you mostly hit it, but just trying to understand how many flights we take on an annual basis, and just if you've done any math on how much it would save taxpayers to shorten the distance and have these trips.
Remember the numbers?
And we have asked because, and the trick is, and I guess we could do a 3-year average, but is that the conditions change sort of daily, depending on staffing, depending on the helicopter and all that other stuff. However, if we take those 2 hours and you extrapolate it out during the year, you're basically saving perhaps 500-600 hours of time over the count that you would otherwise be spending over the county, and you would be saving that. You would either not be flying the plane, not the helicopter, excuse me. You would either not be flying the helicopter, or you would be having, that's 500 or 600 hours over the city, and we just would need to determine about what's more valuable to us. An analysis has been done, and so that there would be about $110,000 worth of fuel savings and repair savings in a given year if we operated as we do today, meaning we went back to the heliport at the same time that we would go back to Martin State.
Comptroller has a follow-up on that.
Yeah, the only question I really had about all this, because I've had a lot of conversations about this over the last year, and I think I'm up to speed. Is when you mentioned the fact that the decision is still to be made whether we will use the moving into town as an opportunity to either capture savings by being able to provide the same amount of flight time, but easier and for less, we can capture savings, or we can get more flight time for the same amount of money we're currently spending. My question there is, does the consent decree speak to us increasing flight time as a goal? No. Okay, so that being said, since there are things in the consent decree that we haven't done yet that would cost money, I'm going to be telling you right now, while that decision, which I hope you mean as a recommendation to bring to the mayor, okay, I'm hoping that that recommendation would be very, very strongly considering the fact that this is an opportunity to capture savings and apply them to other things we need to improve.
Ben?
Sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Comptroller. So you hit the nail on the head. That's a conversation that will be had at the level of myself and the police commissioner, obviously in consultation with our great city solicitor in impacts on the consent decree.
Deputy Chief, you want to, anything else you want to say on that?
No, I just want to thank everyone for their time today. I thank the Department of Real Estate and the Law Department. I feel like we've been through like a war together getting this done, but this is a very complex deal. And I just want to thank everyone for their time and consideration.
You should have been here for the Office of Employment Development over in Reservoir Square.
Before you go, we do have some
I got questions.
protests, and the one other thing I wanted to just get on the record from you all is I know there have been community meetings about this, several community meetings. Again, having spoken to the council member who represents this district, can you share, you mentioned changes in SOP, but just share how you all have reflected on the feedback that you heard from residents.
So in meeting with the community association, and I think it's really more of us internalizing what the community residents have said, I think that it's really the landlord that has, I think, responded to the concerns of the community residents, whether that's to their level of satisfaction or not, I can't say. But what I will sit there and say is that there was an operator where there was a lot of complaints from the community. There was actually some complaints from us. And he took that to heart, and I think he has given notice of their ending their lease, and so that they will be transitioning out. We hope that that helps with the level of traffic and what is operating out there. I think that it was recognized that the language that I referenced just a minute ago regarding the SOP was not as clear as it could be, and so that's why we went and changed it and to update it to make it clear that the expectation is that that your first course is not to fly over the condominiums on the waterfront park. So I think in those two respects. And then lastly, I'll just sit there and say, and whether this placated the community or not, but one of the things I mentioned last week when we met with them was that, and that I've alluded to in this presentation, is that we've been there for the last 2+ years at this point, refueling. And so really our presence there isn't going to increase the traffic. If anything, we said there'll probably be a net 1 reduction in flight. And that according to the landlord, we're about 15% of the traffic that comes in and out of that heliport. So again, whether that satisfies the community or not, I'm not really in a position to say, but that's how we have responded to the community.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Okay.
Andy, do you want to finish?
Just one thing. You want to?
One thing, sir. I just want to be clear that it's the heliport's SOP we're talking about, not the department's SOP. It has always been the approach of Foxtrot, our aviation unit. whenever feasible and there's not an operational exigent circumstance that requires it, to make that approach over water, sort of thinking about coming over like the Fort McHenry area, to avoid that heavily populated area. We recognized and heard the complaints of the community, saw an opportunity in this also to apply leverage to shore up the behavior of other aircraft coming in and out of that community and that heliport.
Mayor.
Thank you, Colonel, Mr. Deputy Chief. Can I just ask, I'm going to ask questions about whether there's conversations been had about, and I know that Baltimore County also fuels at the helipad. I know that State Police also fuels at the helipad. So have there been conversations that you guys are aware about, maybe also they moving their operations to the helipad? Are you aware of that at all?
I'm aware that Baltimore County had an extreme interest in moving to that heliport if we did not move to that heliport. There are some opportunities with a vacant aircraft hangar now. I know that they contract maintenance. If this is settled and shored up, we want to have conversations about opportunities there to explore the ability to support each other.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we beat them to the punch. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Comptroller Henry?
Yeah, I just wanted to say for anybody who's interested, we are going to make sure that the revised SOP is publicly available on the BOE dashboard after this meeting, after the Department of Real Estate sends it to Polycom. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Comptroller. We have received several statements of opposition on this matter. The first we will call is from the board of the Beacon Condominiums. Do we have those folks online?
I don't see them as of right now. There's
Somebody
Jeffrey Conza,
off cam.
Desiree Flynn.
All right. I am not hearing anyone. Again, if there's anyone from the Beacon that wishes to testify, please use the raise hand function, and we will bring you off of mute. Not hearing and seeing anyone. We have a statement of opposition from the moorings of Canton. Is there someone from the moorings? If so, please use the raise hand function, and we will take you off of mute. Not hearing anyone or seeing anyone do the raise hand function. We have a statement of opposition from the North Shore Condominiums community. Is there someone? I do see someone raise their hand from the North Shore Condominiums community. Alana, if you could take that person off of mute. Laura Coleman, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
All right. Yes, I am Laura Coleman, and I am the president at North Shore at Canton. And I guess I'll represent for the waterfront communities. I know we had people that wanted to be here this morning. And I don't want to belabor a lot of things that have already been discussed this morning. And I know you have received extensive letters of opposition that detail every concern that we have. At this point, for us, I think that it would be really important to be able to review that standard operating procedure prior to moving forward on this. We had questions not only about flight data and how that will impact our quality of life on the waterfront, but concerns about having a stronger termination option and a review process. Our request isn't saying that we don't want and see the benefits of doing this lease, but it's saying that we want to make the term stronger in order to protect our city and our waterfront community and our community as a whole. Quite honestly, to hear that these conversations have been going on since 2019 is impactful, but we were brought into it late in the game. And, we had unit owners that will report that even after the meeting last week, where we were told that these flight patterns really aren't increasing, we had one unit owner that had 3 different flights right after that meeting that shined lights right into his unit that interfere with our quality of life and our ability to sleep overnight. So we are feeling the impact of it already. And we would just like to ask respectfully that we're given the opportunity to review those standard operating procedures. Our understanding, as even from the conversation this morning, is that when there is something that's violated, there's not really any teeth in it from the city's side of it to be able to enforce things differently in that lease. And so, our question is, how do we protect our community going forward? And what would be the harm in deferring this until we've had the opportunity to review that SOP in full with the new language in order for everyone to feel more comfortable that we've been heard?
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Comptroller Henry.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. And also, thank you for joining us. I just wanted to say that because, and I think we've already had mentioned the fact that we will be revisiting this issue when we come back to do a lease for the marine side of this. If we did move forward with the SOP as amended today, and it turned out that there were concerns from the community that the changes in the SOP were not sufficient to address all the community's concerns, it would be very easy for us to revisit that. I would also say, and this is a combination of a response to the community and a question to the police department. My understanding is that if we're talking about flight patterns or flight paths taken by the helicopters, that isn't really anything the landlord controls in the first place. If Foxtrot is flying places that the community doesn't want it to fly, and we've agreed that it won't fly, that is an issue to be taken up directly with the police department. And the enforcement capability that the community has is that the police department reports to the mayor, who is elected by the people. So that isn't going to be something that we're going to settle contractually. That's going to be a matter of is government performing its services in a way that the community is okay with.
And well, two things I'd like to add. One, to that point, yes, you're absolutely right. And two, that that's for us. And then there are, of course, other actors there who are the majority of the traffic that are going out there, and I think that that's for the landlord to have. And they said to the community, when you have complaints, let us know, and we will, address them with the operators. So that's point number one. And point number two is I just wanted to address on the termination provision. This was there wasn't really, when we first started out, an adequate termination provision, and it was something that the CAO absolutely insisted upon. It was something I think you insisted upon. We wish that, and much of the consternation of the landlord who didn't want one at all, but, we held this up until we could come to an agreement. It's, we will, even though it's a 20-year lease, at year 10, I believe we can give notice that we can get out, so it really would be a 1-year notice at that point. And I know that's a really long time for the for the community, but one of the reasons that we settled on something of that far out is that there's a lot of tenant improvements that are being put on this site, and we certainly took that into account.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Comptroller. Is there anyone else that wishes to testify either in support or opposition to this item? If so, please use the raised hand function on Teams. WebEx. Good point. All right. Hearing and seeing no one, I would entertain a motion to approve this item with the caveat, as Comptroller Henry said, that we will be back here to rediscuss the marina portion of this soon.
So move.
Second.
I would, hearing a motion and a second, all those in favor of approving this item say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The item is approved. Thank you, gentlemen. The final item is a walk-on item at the request of the administration.
Did you do the Public Works final release of retainage?
No, it's not.
I do not believe that is on there. That is deferred. Stop causing trouble, Comptroller. The final item is a walk-on item at the request of the administration under SB 26-10332 with the Baltimore City Health Department for non-emergency medical transportation for medical services. On behalf of the Health Department, well, I guess on behalf of procurement, we have Mr. Adam Manny.
On behalf of the Health Department, we have procurement.
Jack of all trades.
Director Manny, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Comptroller, honorable board members, Adam Manny, your Chief Procurement Officer. I'm here on behalf of the Health Department to bring forward termination of services to heart-to-heart transportation, heart-to-heart medical services for Medicaid clients. Unfortunately, Heart-to-Heart notified the city that originally they were going to be ceasing operations on January 16th, and that they would no longer be able to provide these services to the city and to the city residents. After discussion with them, they were able to extend their services through January 30th. After discussion with the Health Department, the Solicitor's Office, the Bureau of Procurement, it was in the best interest of the city to terminate their agreement with the city, which would allow us then to use those funds to bring on other potential vendors to provide these services to the citizens so there was no disruption in service. So we issued these termination letter to them on January 30th, and as part of the procedures is we have to bring the termination to the board for final approval as we move forward with it. If you'd like more information about what this program does, the Health Department is here and they can go into more detail than I can.
Thank you, Director Manny. Questions from the board? All right.
Motion to approve, Mr. President.
Second.
All those in favor of approving this item say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The item is approved. Thank you. As there is no more business before the board, we will now adjourn this meeting. The next regular meeting of the Board of Estimates will occur on Wednesday, February 18th, 2026 at 9 a.m. I thank everyone for participating and tuning in.
Hi, TV 25. Sorry, we're running a little bit late. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Estimates bid opening for February 4th, 2026. We have a few addenda to share this afternoon and only one opening. So first change in opening date is for the Department of Transportation, TR 19018. This is for replacement of a retaining wall on Dartmouth Road. This bid will now be opened on February 18th, 2026. For the Bureau of Procurement, RFQ 000766 for armed security services. This bid will now be opened on February 18th, 2026. And also for the Bureau of Procurement, RFQ 000776, Session Initiation Protocol Trucking. This bid will now be opened on February 18th, 2026. And today we have one opening, and this is also for Bureau of Procurement, RFQ 000774. Weatherization Assistance Program and HVAC.
Is that a typo?
Yeah, it's a typo. I'm gonna fix it. Because I'll read whatever you put on here.
I thought they had HAVC.
Havoc. Havoc Services. HVAC.
We're not wreaking havoc.
Weatherization Assistance Program and HVAC Services. Again, this was RFQ 774, and this is, I'm guessing, not requiring a bond. And we do have a total, or is this potentially itemized? Okay, good. Okay. Who's first?
Good morning. Sorry, just coming out of a frost. The first bid I have is from Northeast Energy Service LLC. I have one original. I have a USB, and I'm gonna hand you one of the 3 duplicates.
So the original is clearly marked?
Yes, ma'am.
Because we're picky about that now? Well, we always were, but now we say it.
We're communicating our standards with vigor and excitement. As you point out, no bond.
And you, I'm sorry, you said 1 flash drive?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The total amount is, let me just check it, is $10,192,723.64.
I'm gonna read that back to you.
I think that's,
It's 10,0,192,723.64.
yes, ma'am.
And that's what the duplicate says as well. That bidder was Northeast Energy Services LLC for $10,192,723.64. And up next.
Okay, the next one is from GEO Environmental Services LLC. I have an original. That's marked with a flash drive. And, sorry, I also have a flash. These 2 flash drives for the same one?
Yes. 2 flash drives?
Right, 2 flash drives.
Okay.
And let me confirm the note here. Because I have, and then, okay. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 originals because we don't have any copies cleanly marked. Duplicates.
So nothing's marked duplicate, but I'm gonna look at one of the originals while you look at an original
Okay.
and compare totals.
All right. I'm finding the total
Me
on the
too.
second to last page.
This is very difficult to look at. Okay.
All right, the grand total is $10,181,951.55.
That number was 10,181,959.
Nope.
Point.
951.
951. You're right. I said it wrong. 10-0. I can't.
Let's
I
start from
can't-
the
I
beginning.
can't do it
Start from the
today.
top line.
10, comma, 181, comma, 951.55.
You have a great future in lottery.
I feel
Thank
like
you.
I do. That bidder was Geo Environmental Services LLC for $181,951.55.
Okay.
Please.
Oh, sorry. Forgot about you. Okay. Next up, we have DeVere Installation Home Performance. I have one USB.
Okay.
And we have 3 originals. Because nothing is marked
Nothing is
duplicate.
marked duplicate.
Okay. And the grand total.
Can I have one of the
Oh,
originals?
apologies.
Please.
It's my first time. You're gonna go to the second to last page.
Got it.
Okay, grand total. $13,578,056.07.
That number was 13,578,056.07.
Correct?
That bidder was DeVere Installation Home Performance for $13,578,056.07.
Okay, and then the last is from SM Mechanical LLC. We have not received any flash drive.
No flash drive.
And let's see, one original. All right, 1 original and 4 duplicates.
Oh, 4 duplicates. Okay.
And yeah, the grand total somewhere in the middle, so I'll read it to you.
Yeah, I
Oh,
have
you
it.
found it. All right, cool. $10,246,411.38.
Okay, that number was 10,246,411.38.
Correct?
Okay, that bidder was SM Mechanical LLC for $10,246,411.38. And that was our final of 4 bidders for RFQ 000774 Weatherization Assistance Program and HVAC Services. And that was our only bid opening today, so we're done. Congratulations, everyone. We are going to open bids again on February 18th, thank you. February 18th, 2026 at 12 noon as usual. Thanks for tuning in, and the results from today's bid should be posted by close of business today, if not sooner, on the Baltimore City website. Thank you. Thanks, TV 25.